Hello guys, again this fur. I know some of you are a bit scared about these video tutorials because you are thinking, why again fur? Because this is my model to crystal brush and I want to show you everything because I don't want to hurt someone asking me, hey, you kept something just to you because you didn't show everything. So I want to show you everything on that video tutorials. And the fur, for sure, on that saber tooth, it's super important. And for that, we have to continue painting on this fur. Just to show you how many hours I spent painting this fur. So, just, again, another video tutorial about fur. For that video tutorial, you'll see that I started to paint thinner, okay, trying to create thinner hair. And in some moments, you'll see that I create random effects or short hair or longer. And maybe in some minutes, you'll see that I remove everything I create and I restart with a new capibase. Just that. This is just to explain you that it's super easy painting with capibases. Some technical or some interesting tips. Remember that you have to link the white part with the violet. You can draw a dark lining between both colors because will look super weird. So for that, remember that you have to create a link. It's just go to the white to the violet, for example, will be enough. And if you see now, you can discover that I painted some areas with the next layer, but not everything. I don't know how to explain that because I didn't paint the 90% as I explained in another video tutorials. Because when you want to represent fur, like in that case, and soften and moving with the blowing air, you have to create something random. And you can't paint every tuft with the same light. Because if you do that, then everything will look the same. So in some moments, you'll see that I paint with new layers and some other tufts I didn't paint with more light. And maybe at the end of this video tutorial, I change everything again, but I think we'll be okay in this one. Keep attention on the face because it's the most important part on this animal. And you have to paint super thin, but remember, don't be scared. If you see well, I didn't be scared painting because it's just painting lanes with my brush. Just that. If you don't like this information, change to a new one. Just that. Don't feel that you are making mistakes because this is horrible. If you think that you are making mistakes, you will paint slower, thinking that you made mistakes on all your model, and this is the worst way to paint. Feel free, paint as I'm painting without the scare, and just try to create different information, like now you can see on the mouth or close to the nose. I create shorter lanes to create a short hair. Just some tricks. And if you see, I create a volume. You will discover more light on the top than on the bottom. But for sure, I'll paint some thin lines on the bottom too to create something random. For example, something interesting about technical. If you're painting a white color, you have to think about a gray scale. Because if you think just on pure white, then you can paint with a lot of midtones. Just will be the capibase, the first one, the base coat, and then white, pure white. And this is boring because then when you use the airbrush, you don't have nothing to work on that. So the idea will be play with a gray scale. Start with a mid or dark gray and just go to the top, just painting with more and more and more light. This is the idea, to create a lot of midtones with a white color. If you respect the pure white just to the end, will be perfect, okay? Better than if you start to mix your paints with pure whites. You will lose a lot of information in the middle. And another tip will be, if you think that the white color have to be more light than the violet, this is a typical mistake, and this is a problem, because if you try to represent more light on the bottom part, on the shadow area, with more light, okay, than on the top of the animal, then will be crazy to your eyes, because you can understand the volumes. The shadows will have more light than the highest lights. So take it easy with that. For that, I explained it that you have to think about a grayscale to paint this model. This model because have a white area, okay? And this white area should be like grays on the shadows. For example, on the bottom or under that model. Another interesting trick is that you are watching now. It's link or paint a thin line with this light color through or on the shadow. This is to break again the rules and create the feeling that the fur is moving with the air. And for example, now you can see that I'm creating some brights, because for sure you have to create like a satin effect. If you go directly to the effect, the problem will be that you forgot represent the muscles. You have to draw the muscles and then go to the material to represent this satin effect, to represent the feeling that this is fur. This is like a non-metallic, more or less, to explain it in an easy way, okay? It's not the same for sure, but more or less to explain it. So, you never will have a lot of light. You can add and add and add more. But take care with that too, because if you're painting a white color, you have to decide what color should have more light. Maybe both can have the same light, but maybe could look strange. If you change everything then with the brush, will be okay, because it will be super easy to change it. For example, now you can see that I started to remove everything and I painted again because I need more light. As you see, I don't feel scared about painting with lines. Just with the next layer I'm going to remove it, so welcome to capibases. Super easy to paint information and then remove the information to create a new one. In fact, if you paint without scare, the result will be better because will look random. Better than if you are painting super slow, taking care to paint on the perfect way. Don't care. Nobody will see if you painted on the way that the sculpture says or where you want to represent new information. Remember, we are creating a 40K paintings with a lot of information, a lot of pixels. For example, here on the neck, on the top, I decide to add more light, and I remove everything. So this is my crystal brush. I spent 2 months painting that model. In some moments I decide to paint with less light, or I thought that I had enough light, and then when I continue painting, I discovered that I need more light. So easy. New layer, new light, and continue painting. Remember, I explained about that. You have to add the light inside of this fur, of these tufts. Sorry. And because I decide to add more light here, again, I remove more or less everything, but always with lines, thicker, okay, to paint over that. And if you remember that part on the previous video, again, I painted with more light. But in that moment, if you watch well on the video tutorial, you'll discover that I'm creating micro volumes to create more light. This is the idea about these new layers. And random fur. In some moments I linked both colors. Now with the next layers, I started to move the temperature to something warmer, just a bit, okay? But enough to understand that some warm ambient could look really, really interesting to this model. If you have seen this model on the social media, Crystal Brush website, or Cool Mini or not, you know what is the result. And this is the process, a very long process to represent that. But I think after all of this, you will paint animals with an awesome fur. So it will be a pleasure see your miniatures after this video tutorial. And again, more and more light. If you have these 3, 4, 5 layers before or under this new base coat or capibase, you will have different dark lanings between each lane, and will be awesome to define that fair, because will give you the feeling that there are different depths. Some of them will be deeper than others. So the result is, in my opinion, better. Now keep it attention, because the face is super important, and if you see, I'm trying to create super thin lanes and micro volumes to continue adding more and more and more light. This is the idea, okay? At the beginning, if you see, I create a lot of lanes, I remove everything, I started to continue creating the volumes as I wanted, or represent the effect I would like to represent. But in that case, for example, on the face, I have done the volumes that I want, and I just continue working on that to create more volume, more light, and these kind of micro volumes are really awesome on the result. These thin lanes, this random fur, this is the soul of this animal. Again, link the white area with the violet. Remember, keep attention on all the details. This miniature is for a super awesome contest to me, super special project, and I keep attention on every detail. The nails, the feet, everything have a lot of information. You have to keep the attention on everything. Just paint the face. It's okay if your model is to play, to enjoy. But if you want to go to an event like Crystal Rush, you have to keep the attention on everything. And you see, I've painted a lot of time on everything. And for example, here, I felt that I didn't have enough light. So I continue working on that to create more and more light. I'm crazy with the light. Remember that after everything, I'm going to blend with airbrush. It will be crazy, right? Because after maybe 2 or 3 weeks just painting the fur, it's the moment to start with airbrush. Really? And what happens if I destroy the model? You will discover in the next video tutorials. So I'm crazy, right? After have done all of this, start to paint with airbrush. Oh. But remember, always said the same. Please enjoy painting, because this is your hobby and you have to enjoy painting. Forget the result. The most important is enjoy, paint, and then the result. Just keep your models to see the difference, how you improve. And please finish some models, because if you don't finish a model, then you never will have a feedback about your improvement. So please enjoy painting. As I enjoyed painting that. So, after everything, I don't have more words to explain, to say on that video tutorial. Thank you very much to be there watching me. Thank you very much to bring me this opportunity. And I hope you enjoy watching this video tutorial and will be awesome to you to learn and to continue improving. And for sure, enjoying painting. And I hope after this, you can paint awesome furs on your animals and you share on the social media with me and with all the friends. So thank you very much to be there and see you in the next video tutorial. Bye bye!